So who's Miss Jessica Tovar?
I'm just a funny female comedian.
And I caught it. And I was like,
Who's been somebody that you've met that you were excited about meeting in the comedy world?
Christella, are you familiar with Christella?
Nah.
She's super funny.
What is TikTok? The lockdown started, TikTok blew up, and it was just families dancing. People were dying all over the world, but they're like, look at our rhythm.
I met her last year.
What's the price of a comedian, like average? Like, you can give me a scale from here to here that a comedian will charge per set.
Oh, like a headliner can range.
First things first, I just want to say thank you for joining into the podcast. The way that we came across each other was through TikTok.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about TikTok? Or here, how about this? Let's get started on introducing yourself, what you do, how you came across into your journey of being a comedian, because it has to do with your comment, and that's how we started interacting. So I'll do the brief intro right now, and then we'll get started with your whole journey, and then we'll dive into the whole TikTok thing. Cool?
Okay.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Are you ready? Welcome to Hoy Nomas podcast with Angel Houseman.
Miss Jessica Tovar. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes.
So who's Miss Jessica Tovar?
Yes. So I'm just a funny female comedian. At least that's what I think, right? I think I'm funny, and I've been told. But I guess I started doing comedy because my friends kept telling me I was funny. So it first started out with me hosting potlucks in my backyard, and my friends would just come over and I would just do stand-up for them.
Oh, really?
By myself.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've always thought of yourself being just a funny gal.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess you could say like the class clown.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so just so people understand, the message or the comment you left on one of the posts that we did was that you used to be shy, and one of your biggest fears was actually public speaking. So it was contradicting to you now becoming an up-and-coming comedian. So when you were hosting the potlucks, at that point, were you still having the fear of public speaking, or you were already working on overcoming it?
I was working on overcoming it, but I still had the fear because it was just kind of like the beginning where it was just my friends that I already knew. So it wasn't as scary for me. But I still had fear of public speaking, and then I would just take a few shots. Yeah. So so you were hosting this potlucks at your house. You were doing this comedy or stand-up comedy. Would you rehearse? Were these planned? Were they just random? They were random. They weren't rehearsed. I've tried rehearsing as a comedian, and it's difficult for me. For me, I find it the most. I find myself to be more funny when I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
Especially like I have a few jokes that I usually start off with, but usually I try to joke with the crowd.
Yeah.
Like just improvise.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's usually my favorite.
Okay.
Personally.
And currently you still have your 9 to 5 or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
8 to 5. Yeah.
Oh, 8 to 5. And what do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking? Is it separate from comedy, just in general?
Yes, it is separate from comedy, but I also do public speaking at my job.
What?
Yeah. So that's actually what motivated me as well to just kind of push towards becoming a comedian, because I'm like, all right, I'm already doing it at my job, because I was so nervous, but I was like, I have to do it for work. And since I was doing it for work, I was like, well, if I'm already doing it for work, I can do it for fun.
Right. But how the heck, how is it that you're going to be afraid of public speaking, but you do it for a living and you also do stand-up comedy? So if people are watching, or like, nah, she's not scared of talking in public.
I was in the beginning. It took
Yeah.
me a lot of time. Yeah. And my friends just kept motivating me and going with me to every show and every open mic. And
Nice.
they were actually, if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be doing stand-up comedy, because they just kept telling me like, oh my God, you're so funny. You should be a comedian. And I just kept hearing that. I kept hearing that. So I was like, maybe they're seeing something that I haven't seen in myself.
Gotcha.
But I have always enjoyed comedy. Like when I turn on the TV, I'm always like, oh, stand up. And like,
Nice.
I've always loved like joking around. So
Yeah, same here. I don't think I would be able to be a comedian, but I love freaking just joking around. I love sarcasm. Just I love comedy. I think the majority of the podcasts I watch, they're comedy podcasts. I watch a lot of Theo Vaughn, Bobby Lee, Joe Rogan. Just all those guys are hilarious.
yes, they are. Especially, my favorite so far is Theo Vaughn.
Oh yeah,
He's just so random.
Yeah, he super is. At times they're like, wait, what? Why are you asking for the freaking person to pull this up? Like, what the? It makes no sense, you know?
Yeah, it makes no sense. But then at the same time, you're like, I freaking love this guy. He's so random.
Yeah. I think he's probably my favorite, I guess, podcaster at the moment right now. Just for that sake, I think whenever I do consume any content, I just want to have a good time and enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you say that you do public speaking for work. So how do you face those fears? Because look, I'll tell you from this perspective. I've been trying to have my cousin over to the podcast just to have a simple conversation. He knows me in specific, but just the simple thought that there's cameras rolling, he's already having that he's already getting freaked out over that. So what would you say are the first steps to fighting public speaking and just overcoming that fear?
I think one thing that always stuck to me was my boss, because I asked her, like, how do you do it? You're just so natural at public speaking. Like, whatever you tell me, I believe it. Like, she's just so naturally, like, talented and very, I don't know, motivating. And she said, just remember that you're the professional. Whatever you're saying, you're the professional. And they don't know, like, she would tell me, like, they don't know what you're going to present. You're the professional. So if you make a mistake, just keep going. And like that always stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I guess like if I'm saying a joke and for some reason I'm going to mess up on the joke, or I messed up, I'll like just keep going. I won't say like, oh, I messed up my joke, or because I've seen that some comedians do that and it kind of takes from the comic.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that kind of helped me. But in the beginning, I was nauseous. I wanted to throw up. I was up there.
Yeah.
I remember I would go up to do open mic, and I would feel like I blacked out just from like all the adrenaline. But then like when I would get off stage, everybody would be like, oh my God, you were so funny. You were amazing. So I'm like, I was. Okay.
Yeah. At times, doesn't it happen to you that you're like, what the heck did I just say? Like you have to rewatch it or whatever. Like, yeah.
Yes, a lot of the times. And that's why I always encourage, like, especially when I do open mics, I always encourage the comics to record their sets. Because sometimes in the moment, you might have a joke that you've said. A lot of the comics recycle their jokes. And you might have a joke that you say several times, like, but And but this one day you have added something new to the joke. So I think it's always important to like record our sets as comics, because there's been times where, I mean, I've said some jokes over and over again, and then like, I don't know, a certain crowd just helps me enhance my joke.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
agree.
like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna keep that.
You know what's crazy? Yesterday, I was hopping on live. So one of my goals right now is to, same as yourself, I want to become better at public speaking. I want to overcome that fear of knowing that there's people watching me. So I hopped on live yesterday, and I was telling the people that one of the biggest things that's helped me, even though I still feel like I still get nervous, etc., is the podcast itself has helped me, because I'm recording myself, right? So I'm looking at myself over and over, analyzing myself, knowing the same words that I use over and over, the filler words, the face expressions, the way I laugh. So I'm studying myself, right? But then there's times similar to yourself, right? When I try to deliver a message, I'm like, fuck, I want to use it for a clip, but I didn't like the way I said it, right? I should have used these other words. So similar to what you just said, I'll recycle the same message on another podcast as the conversation comes. And now I know what other words to use instead of the other ones, because I feel at times my vocabulary is limited. So I'm like, fuck, why did I say because? I could have said, for instance, something like that. You know what I mean? So I get it, even though I'm not a comedian, but I use it for strategy on the podcast.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's been a few times where I mess up my own jokes, where I talk about my fiance now, how like we went to the beach and like it was so romantic how he threw his shoes off and his socks. And I say his socks turn into doves is how the joke goes. And I like just go like that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when I kept saying my joke, I started saying his socks turned into pigeons.
What the hell? Yeah.
And my friend was like, you keep saying that his socks turn into pigeons. So it's also nice. One of my friends, she actually like goes to a lot of my shows to help me out as well. She's like, oh my God, you did great. Keep that joke. Or
Nice.
I don't know about that one, you know? So it's nice having friends like that.
Yeah, of course. Having a good support system is huge, right? Even at times, I feel like in every industry, in every type of endeavor, they're similar in a sense. Why? Because, for instance, on the podcast, it's a very, very lonely road. I do a lot of the recording with just a lot of guests that I don't know personally, the editing that goes behind the scenes. But you need those people that continue to push you to continue going. Hey, you did good. Like, continue going. Like, I like your content. Like, or maybe you should do this instead. And it's very, very important to have those type of people. There's a quote that I really like. Even the most skilled pilot still needs his flight crew. No matter how good of a pilot you are, you still need the people down at the road at the flight lane to guide you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. I love that. That's a good quote.
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to deliver it good. Yeah.
Have you recycled that one?
Maybe, but I didn't like the way it got delivered. So I was trying to think of words as I was saying. Yeah.
That was good, though. That was good.
Yeah, but little quotes like that have helped me out tremendously, just for me to continue going.
Yeah, and you're on your 2 years of having your podcast?
Yeah, 2 years. 2 years. I've been trying to document as much as possible. I did it from my living room. Then we moved to the backyard. Finally, my suegro helped me out building the studio here in the backyard. And now I have a dedicated place that I have all my cameras mounted. And literally I have one button that I press and everything is being recorded. And
wow.
I literally, after this, I can have the podcast ready within like an hour or two, like ready to upload. I've met people that now are I have 2 people helping me out that they're like my editing team, which I'm paying out of pocket because just about 2 weeks ago, I received my first paycheck from YouTube. But all this, maybe from a year back ago, that's when I started investing in myself. So even though right now, like I'm in the red, like I'm investing on this editing team, but I strongly believe in myself. I believe in the vision that I don't care. I'll rather not spend any money on anything else of going out or partying, etc. And I'll rather invest it into this project because I truly love it. I really, really enjoy it. Quick reminder, we now have a call-in number where you guys can leave us voice messages, video calls. Let us know a story you would want us to share on the podcast, anything you want. The goal is being able to interact with the people that support the channel. Even if you're looking for love, we will find your true love on Hoy Nomas podcast. Also, for anyone that is interested on creating your own channel, we have our Amazon storefront linked in the description where you can find all the cameras we use, the microphones, the lights, the equipment, where all of our podcasts are recorded to. If you need any help with editing services, we are able to produce your entire podcast, edit your short form content from Instagram Reels, TikToks, etc. You can look at all of our content as reference and we got you covered. And finally, if you want to support the channel, you can leave us a super thanks down below, which will help us tremendously, and we'll make sure to highlight that comment on the upcoming podcast and give you a shout out. Now back to the podcast.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how far you've gone for 2 years.
You think so? Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Why do I say that? I mean, I don't know a lot of people that have podcasts, but like even me as a comic, I've been doing comedy for 5 years. And I mean, it's been a long road.
I can imagine.
And even with like editing like little clips, I'm like, this takes time. So I can't imagine editing all the podcasts you have to edit.
So you edit those little clips that we see on social media?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why they're not that great.
No, but you know what? I take pride in people like grinding, right? Because a lot of people want to do things in life, right? But those thoughts just stay as thoughts, and a lot of people don't take action into that. So just see, even like you said, they're not the best, but you're trying, you're putting yourself out there, you're actually taking steps towards that direction. You're already a comic, whether you don't see yourself as one or a professional one, whatever, like Theo Von, but you're already doing it, right? It's only a matter of time for you to be recognized and just freaking go skyrocket all the way to the top.
Yeah, that's the goal. I keep telling my mom. I think that's the hard part too, like missing all the family events. And they're like, are you coming over to your tia's? And I'm like, not tonight. I have a comedy show. And just like, so I feel like I've missed out on a lot of things so far in the past 5 years because I've been putting like comedy first.
Wow, no way. Okay, so let's talk about that, right? Because now you're saying that, right? From an outsider perspective, how long are your sets?
It just depends. I have different type of sets. Yeah. So it just depends like on the producer and how long they want me to be on the show. I can go from 5 minutes. I've done 20 minutes. Okay. 30 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say if the longest, let's say 30-minute set, from an outsider perspective, why is somebody like yourself missing family events when your set is only 30 minutes? So can you walk us through what it actually takes for you to do a comedy set? Because for me, it's like, hey, go do your set 30 minutes, let's say an hour, then come back and just enjoy the rest of your time with your family. Wouldn't you be able to do that? Can you walk us through?
Well, first of all, my family parties late.
Okay. Yeah.
Their get-togethers are usually like in the evenings, like after work and stuff. So like 6 p.m. And usually comedy shows are around 8 p.m., 7 p.m. So, and it depends where I'm traveling to. Sometimes it's an hour away. Yeah, it just depends where the comedy show is at. If I'm producing the show, last year I was producing 2 comedy shows, and that There was like 30-minute sets, but the show itself was 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're currently from where exactly?
Santa Maria
Sa-
in Santa Barbara County.
oh, okay, Santa Barbara. So from there, you usually do your sets in LA?
I've done a few in LA, not as many as I would want to, but mainly Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I think the hardest part you said is because maybe you're traveling to do the sets, and then by the time you actually do them, they're late at night because a lot of the times people go out at night for like dates or whatnot to go watch a comedy show, right? So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense because for me it's like you drive 15 minutes, you do your 30-minute set, boom, you're out, and then you can still do your thing. But no, I'm completely wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes, even though you do your set, like let's say you're the opener, at least for me, since I am a fan of comedy and I'm already there, I'm like, well, I might as well watch the rest of the comedians.
Yeah.
Because I really do enjoy the art itself and see how people deliver the jokes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm already here. I already missed out the birthday cake, you know?
Yeah. You're a student to the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? Same thing, right? Of myself, we were just talking about other podcasts like the Avons and all that, right? I consume podcasts, I consume YouTube. That there's a lot of podcasts here locally in San Diego, but to be honest, and this is in no hatred to them, they're not doing what they're not doing what they should be doing as podcasters, right? Because I see them, and then I also see what the big people are doing, the Theo Vons, the Joe Rogans, and their quality level, their delivery, their audio. It's not up to par. So I'm not even seeing that, right? Because I'm looking at the big guys. I'm looking at the people that I love watching. So I have to produce the same quality, if not even better than even the bigger guys. Why? Because if I want to be at that same level, then I have to be outworking them or out producing them. And like I said, not hating on them, but I'm just a student of the game. So I want my product to be up to par, you know? And maybe that's why earlier you said, oh, you know, it's dope what you're doing. And like you've like come a long way in those 2 years, which I think I have, but there's so much to learn still. And similar to you, right? Some of your, I was watching some of your comedy skits that you did from stand up, and I'm like, oh man, that's freaking funny. But it only takes one person to discover you to freaking like take you all the way to the top. And same thing. Right now, I'm just building my portfolio. I'm building my portfolio as I go, because your life can change from one moment to another. You just never know, especially through social media.
I agree. I mean, we're lucky to have it this way, you know. I honestly prefer to watch like social media over like most celebrities, you know, like people follow like Kim Kardashian. I really enjoy like following like random like TikTok celebrities, like what's her name? Shawty Bay?
Shawty Bay.
It's so
yeah.
It's so random, but I'm like, this is drama. All right, Shawty Bay.
Yeah, dude, it's funny because I really think that I really think that she knows what she's doing. Like, because she does because she does comedy skits. She really does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like for me, like the way that she puts herself doing lives, knowing that she has thousands of people watching her, like, dude, how can you just be yourself knowing that all these people are just watching you? That takes a lot of skill set within itself.
Yeah. Unless, you know, she's just talented like that.
Yeah, either that or she just doesn't really care, which I think it's that.
Yeah, that too. I think a lot of the times we think about certain things too much and we kind of hold ourselves back.
Yeah. What's been in these 5 years of doing comedy, what's been your biggest downfall? Yeah, what's been your biggest downfall in these 5 years? What do you say?
My biggest downfall. I guess I would say not traveling to LA as much. Like I would want to um, do more sets in LA or San Diego as well. Um, but that's about it. Because for the most part, whenever I have the opportunity, whenever someone reaches out to ask me if I want to be a part of a show, I usually say yes. Like, yeah. And for the most part, unless like I really can't, then yeah.
So
But in the beginning,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think in the beginning, like now that I've been doing it for so long, I always think like, man, I wish I would have started earlier, like, and see where I would be now. But I was too busy having fun when I was young.
Yeah, but I feel like we all have different timelines, right? It's same with me.
Yeah.
I wish I wish I was a lot younger, but at the same time, it's other people that are much older. They wish they would have had social media and they could have had a different type of lifestyle, but it's just we have to deal with their own timeline. And I don't want to talk about plant medicine, but in reality, time is just an illusion. Even though we track time here in the physical realm, but time doesn't exist, and you just have to be okay with being in the present moment and just dealing with the cards that you've been like dealt with, and making the most out of it.
That's true. You gotta have a good inspirational quotes.
Yeah, you know what? Back in the days, I always wanted to just motivate people and encourage people. I think that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to do podcasting. But now with time, I just I think we were texting back and forth. I just want to have a dope conversation with people that are doing dope things,
Yeah.
It's just similar to when you're maybe catching a bus and you meet a complete stranger and you have a dope conversation that you wish somebody else would have heard, because that conversation could have helped somebody else. And
that's true.
So yeah, I always wanted to do that, but now it's just like I get to have these dope conversations, record them, document them, and share them with a lot of more people. And I love that, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. Yeah, and within 2 years, I've seen that you've done a lot. I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I learned so much. And it would take me, for the people that have watched the podcast, they know that it used to take me up to 3 days just to have a full-on podcast. And now, like, literally, I've had it like a podcast edited within like an hour, like ready, like on YouTube.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a long journey. Unfortunately, just recently, even though you came across through my content through TikTok, freaking my TikTok is started from the bottom. It sucks.
Yeah, definitely. But they say sometimes that helps with the with the algorithm.
Yeah.
Like sometimes starting like a fresh TikTok helps you get like more viewers for some reason.
Okay.
So maybe it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
Crossing our fingers.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of TikTok, what are your thoughts on TikTok supposedly shutting down? I think they're saying right now, I believe the 19th is the date.
I feel like they've been saying that since COVID, since 2020. Because I remember I was kind of still am addicted to TikTok.
I like TikTok better.
Yeah. But I remember they've been saying that for a while. So now I kind of feel like it's the boy who cried wolf,
I agree. That not until the day that actually TikTok is shut off, then be like, oh, okay, it freaking happened. Right.
Yeah.
But until then, it's just like, I'm still going to try to rebuild my freaking account. Right. Yeah. But how do you think a world without TikTok would be? Or how would it affect you or people just in general?
I feel like they would create something else similar to TikTok and just change the name. Like, well, something similar to TikTok and call it something else, like clock or I don't know.
Yeah. I think they're already starting one, right? I think it's like Lemonade or something like that.
Oh yeah. You know what? I've been getting a lot of requests on that. I guess I have an account, but I haven't looked into it. I don't even remember creating it. So is that what that is?
I think so, because they said that that's the account that is going to be taking over TikTok. Allegedly, that's what I keep on hearing too. But it's one of those things that you want to hop on a social media platform right away so you can like take off. But then I'm not sure if you've ever used Threads. Like that was the whole thing too. And I never freaking used Threads. I don't even like it.
Yeah. I got on Threads and I was like, this is bullshit. And I just left.
Yeah. Same thing. I think I have my account, but I'm like, man, this is freaking, I don't like it at all. And hearing right now the platform like I think it's Lemonade or something like that. It just doesn't ring a bell. Like it's not motivating to start it there. But then it's like if we wait too long, like fuck, I should have hopped on it way before. So I don't know.
Well, TikTok used to be Musicali or something like that. Musicali, did you remember that?
Yeah, something like that. It was like a bunch of people dancing and stuff.
Yeah, I remember I used to see like people sharing their videos. I'm like, what a bunch of weirdos. And then I hopped on it.
Yeah. Oh, you danced too?
I became the weirdo.
Were you dancing on freaking TikTok or what?
On TikTok, yeah, in the beginning.
No way, really? Oh shit,
Yeah.
Dude! I don't know. I don't think I've ever not having the courage, but I'm like, fuck, I don't want like somebody from work like, oh, este way, like ando bailando, you know. Because you know what I mean, like some of my content, like people have put it at work, like, oh shit, he has a podcast, and then I get embarrassed because like, oh fuck, I'm in the real world and people are watching me. So, but now imagine people seeing me freaking dance like un bailecito así, like, and like, oh man, I think I wouldn't be able to do that.
I think it just depends on your moves, right?
Yeah. Oh, so you had good moves.
No, honestly, if they were to show me my TikTok right now of me dancing at work, I might be a little embarrassed.
Oh, we're gonna find them and we're gonna overlay them here on this post that we're gonna do.
Actually, one of my TikToks at work went viral.
Oh,
with
no,
my coworkers.
Really? You said of you dancing?
Of me and my coworkers dancing together. It was, what was the TikTok? It was something about our boss saying we needed to do something for was it a promotion? I have to look back at the clip. But man, I'm trying to remember what it was.
Yeah.
But basically we were dancing and we were trying to get a raise.
Oh, what the hell?
And it's pretty funny. Yeah. And it went viral. And actually, it was funny because at work, my boss opened up my TikTok, and I'm in a meeting with people we're partnering with.
Oh,
and my boss opened up my TikTok and started showing my comedy to the people we're partnering with, and I was so embarrassed. But then just seeing them like laugh and like really enjoy my comedy.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay. Well, we're all right.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. But like you said, like seeing your coworkers, if your coworkers were to watch you dance.
Yeah, dude. It's just, oh man. Because before podcasting, I have a vlogging channel, right? And that one's close to getting the 1,000 on YouTube, but before that, and before the podcast, I wanted the same thing as I mentioned. I wanted to be some sort of like motivational speaker, or just kind of like being an older brother to somebody through YouTube, right? So I would want to talk about like men's hygiene and like giving them tips on how to like do certain things, right? So I wanted to do that, but a lot of my videos were a little bit cringe. You know, it's when you first start off. But I uploaded it. And one of my coworkers, the Maloso, he's all like, oh, did you know that Angel has a freaking YouTube channel? Here, let's watch it. We had like a little like Christmas event or something like that. I think it was somebody's birthday. And then Maloso, he's like, oh, let's watch it. And I'm like, fuck, no. Like, It was so embarrassing. After that, I think I made that video private. I put everything private, and I'm like, oh man, never again. But now but then now that same coworker, now that he sees like the podcast content and all that stuff, now he's giving me, hey man, keep it up, like good job. But I think it takes quite a bit of time for people that to really believe it, yeah? Because you have to own it yourself and believe it in yourself, because if you don't do that, then how are you going to expect other people to believe it, right? So you have to own that person, because to other people's eyes, you're just their coworker, you're just Angel, you're just Jessica, right? But no, it's like there's more to just the work environment. There's actually real life, and people actually do have a life outside of work.
Yes. I was gonna ask you, like, when you first started your podcast and it would take you like those 3 days to upload your videos, did you have people like reaching out and saying like, hey, when's your next video, or stuff like that?
To be honest, I don't think people really care, to be quite frank, right? Like, people will watch when you upload, and if you don't upload, people will forget about you. They'll watch the next podcast up, they'll scroll to the next TikTok, the next reel. So if you don't post, you just literally fade away, right? And that goes with anything in life. People don't care about you, right? That's why I like to tell people, just freaking post. Don't worry about how you look. Don't worry if you're embarrassing, if you're cringe, because at the end of the day, people are going to continue scrolling. Pinche Angel, stay away, que se cree. Scroll to the next, right? Or leave a comment, like a negative comment. Usually people don't do that, but they'll talk smack behind your back and they move on, right? Yeah. Now, going back to your question, is like, no, they wouldn't really care. But in my mind, I had to create a schedule to me that, like, if I had said every Wednesday, even if it took me like staying up till midnight, I would have that episode ready for the Wednesday, 6 p.m. Why? Because it was a goal that I had set for myself, even though people weren't even asking for it, but I had to hold myself to those standards.
That's amazing. Good job.
Yeah, good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
Like my mom says, they don't even like.
Yeah. You're married, are you?
No, engaged.
Engaged. Okay, so same here. I'm engaged too. So how's that, being engaged and you following your goals and dreams? How does that work with your fiance?
He's been actually very supportive since the beginning. I actually started doing comedy before I met him in my backyard though.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't doing shows yet. Yeah. So, and when I would do my potluck comedy shows in my backyard, I would record them and I would post them on YouTube.
Oh, shit.
And my coworkers, so I would post them and my coworkers found out about it. And there was this lovely lady, her name is Jill. She would always ask me, what's your next one? And I'm like, And I always felt so nervous about it because she's like this sweet lady that reminds me of like, your mom, like, and I'm over here talking about some crazy stuff, like comedy,
Right.
But she would come up to me at work and say, so when's your next one? And I would be like, oh, you're watching it? Okay. Soon. And I wouldn't give her a date, but then eventually I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm having it this day. And like, she actually was very supportive through my journey. She's went to a lot of my open mics, a lot of shows that I would have. She would go and take her husband, and I always worried about her because I'm like, you're about to hear a bunch of raunchy jokes from a bunch of people.
Yeah. But if she was there, I'm sure she enjoyed all of that.
She knew.
Yeah. But I totally get it, because at times you're not used to those people listening or maybe saying bad words, or you know what I mean? So it's just like, oh man, you know them in a specific certain way, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, no, you don't have to go. So I would always get nervous when she was there. Honestly, I would get really nervous when I would see her there because I'm like, I'm about to curse. I'm about to say these wild, crazy things. And then I'm going to see her at work the next day.
Yeah. and but you said that's how you met your fiance, through the potluck ones, or?
No, I actually met him through Facebook. It's a funny story.
Oh, okay. So how was that?
Yeah, it was in the year 2020 and I had COVID and he randomly video called me on Facebook.
What?
And I was like, who's calling me? Yeah. And I think I had accepted his friend request like the day before and he randomly video called me and I answered. And he was like, hi. And I was like, who is this guy? So I just hung up.
What?
And so I was like, that is so random. And he sent me a meme like a couple days later, which I always joke about how we met in my comedy sets because it's true and it's funny. And he sent me a meme that said, one man's fuck that fat asshole. Is another man's fat juicy torta.
What the heck? Oh, damn. He said that?
He sent me a meme, yeah. And I was like, excuse me? Who are you calling a torta?
and that did it for you.
And I was like, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, you're in. Oh man. So from that point, how long did it take you guys to actually meet in person, or did you guys actually continue messaging back and forth?
We messaged back and forth and then we met in person maybe like a month and a half after. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So did he slid into I'm just
not that day.
Oh, okay. Nice. We'll just leave it as that.
But yeah, it was funny how it all happened.
Nice. And now you guys have kids?
He has a son and I have a stepson now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So all it takes is just a random video call through Facebook, and that's insane.
No, it just happened that way. It was funny actually though, because that day was my cousin's birthday and I started having COVID symptoms.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to her birthday, but my fiance's ex happened to be there that night. And they had just broken up and I would have met her that night. But since I ended up getting COVID, we didn't get to meet.
Nice.
And then like a week later is when he randomly sent me a video call. So it was just weird.
Yeah. It was destiny,
how it happened. Yeah, I feel like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of went on the I guess the worst, not the worst, but the biggest downfall, right? And it's you not traveling so much. What's been your highest point into your 5-year comedy journey?
I think just working with comedians that are doing like big things, like opening up for like Felipe Esparza and like other big comics as well, like Joy Coy. So like just working with comedians that are already like top comics, like well-known comics, has been like motivating. Like, I feel like I'm like a step closer.
Yeah.
To
Is Felipe Esparza the one that looks kind of Indian? Am I getting it right or no?
He's got like the crazy curly hair.
Oh, okay.
And like he looks like he's all coked out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I'm too familiar with him. Okay.
Oh, he's funny.
Yeah.
I posted a clip recently, and I have crazy curly hair too, and I had a jacket on, and I told my friend, I'm like, I look like Felipe Esparza, and she started laughing, and I'm like, I shouldn't be saying that though. He might sue me. She's like, just tell him your Felipe is, what did she say? Felipe Espanza instead of Esparza.
Yeah. Is he one of the biggest ones you've met? Like one of the comedians actually doing it that you've met, or who's been the biggest or famous person? Have you met any famous comedians?
I met a few famous comedians, but not done sets with them or opened up for them. Yet. That's in the process.
Nice.
Yeah.
So whenever you make it big, man, don't forget about Hoy Nomas podcast.
Of course not. Of course not.
Who's been somebody that you've met that you were excited about meeting in the comedy world? If you have.
I met Christella. Are you familiar with Christella?
Nah. Mm-mm.
No. She's super funny. I met her last year. Actually went to her comedy show, and I messaged her off my comedy page because she didn't have like a meet and greet at the end, which I was really bummed about. And I messaged her off my comedy page, and I was like, is there any way like I can meet you in person? As the show ended and we were walking out, and I'm like, is there any way I can meet you in person? And she replies, yes, come back in to the so I went back in, and security stopped me, and they were like, where are you going? And I'm like, she said I can meet her. And they're like, show me the proof. And I showed them my messages with her on Instagram, and they're like, okay, fine. So I went back inside, and I was able to meet her, and we just had like a deep conversation about how it is like being a female comedian and being a Latina and comedian. And it was just very inspirational and amazing that like she didn't like she was like, yeah, sure, come back and meet me in person. Nice. So I was like, okay, like,
nice. Yeah. And what's one thing that you recall from that conversation, if you don't mind sharing? Something that you're like, okay, that I can apply this to myself. Or if you are someone that's suffering from hair loss, whether you're a man or a woman, there is now SMP, scalp micropigmentation. SMP is a non-surgical cosmetic procedure designed to create the appearance of a closely shaved or buzz hairstyle on the scalp. It can also be used to enhance the density of existing hair by creating the illusion of fuller coverage. Make sure to contact SD Inc. as right now they are currently discounting $500 from your procedure if you mention Hoy Nomas podcast. SD Inc., thank you for being a sponsor to the podcast. And if you have a business or would like to sponsor the podcast, feel free to contact us through Hoy Nomas podcast on Instagram. Now back to the episode.
One thing that she shared with me was, well, I was like, wow, like you're so beautiful, like, and she shared with me that she feels like she has to dress down in the comedy world because sometimes she's not taken as serious, like being a female comedian. She's not taken as serious as when she's dressed up. They're just like, oh, she's just like a pretty girl or whatever. But when she dresses down, she's taken more serious in the comedy world. And I'm like, I've noticed that a lot in some comedians, female comedians, that they dress down a lot.
You know what? So, you bring up a good point. You're right, because I think if they're highlighting their appearance to look more beautiful, etc., I think it's taken away from the actual comedy itself. That's a very, very good point. I've never really thought about it like that.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, like, that's what I told her. I'm like, I never thought of it that way. But here locally, there isn't many female comedians. So I feel like in some places, being a female comic can be challenging because they don't get as much time as male comics do. So it is a big thing in the female comedy world. But here locally, it's been an advantage to me since there isn't many female comedians. I'm like, I usually like get asked to be a part of the show since they do want at least like a female comedian representing.
Nice. Yeah, fuck, I lost my train of thought. You know what? Speaking of like right now, earlier that we were mentioning Theo Bonds and motivation and all that stuff, watching Theo Von has helped me with my podcasting, right? Because before, like right now that I lost my train of thought, I noticed that Theo Von is just so careless and he's so like wild with his responses that at times he'll be like, what were we talking about? Like things like that. So I'm like, what the fuck? And this is one of the top freaking podcasters. And if he forgets part of the conversation, if he kind of like segues into a whole different topic, then I shouldn't take this too seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously you do, right? But then it's just like, be okay with like forgetting certain things, or just at the end of the day, it's just a conversation. And I'm like, man, if Theo Von does these type of things and he's okay with messing up, and it made me feel okay with myself and not being the best and just being me.
Yes.
So, but I still forgot what I was going to go. Okay, you were saying about, okay, so your highest point has been what exactly on comedy, you said?
I think just meeting comedians that have worked with like top comedians like that are well known. And producing shows has been like one of my highest points in comedy.
Okay, before
Highest and lowest, a little bit of both.
Okay, let's go into that. I just remember what I was gonna say. So I think you know how you were saying that at times, like maybe as being a female comedian, it might be a little bit harder, or whatever, because of the time frame. But if you continue doing what you're doing of recording your skits, recording your stand-up comedy, and you clip them up, man, social media can take off from you because you're funny. I would say just, I don't know, do you have a team for yourself?
I don't have a team currently. I'm working, I have a friendship with someone right now that I think it's gonna build into that team.
Yeah.
Soon. Within this year, I feel like we're getting to know each other better, and we're taking the steps to building a team, along with one of my close friends.
Okay, so when you record your clips, the microphone is coming straight out from the microphone that you guys are using?
Yes.
You know what I would recommend? I would take your own microphone, clip it on yourself, and who's recording for you?
I just have my camera, my camera stand.
Oh, okay.
And
For sure, I would recommend you having a clip-on mic. That way, your audio can even more crispier. They have like they're very economical now. Like you can find them like on Amazon, but the ones that I currently use at times they're the DJI. As long as you have a microphone that's catching like a crispy audio, and start I guess like upscaling your content, and maybe instead of just your phone, maybe a camera. And if you're producing similar to the whole podcast thing, if you start producing better audio, better camera, then it's just like, oh, what the heck? Like now it looks professional. Even if it is just your camera itself that's rolling, people are not gonna know that. But I would say social media would freaking kill it for you. Just continue doing more of that.
Yeah, I have a camera that I was using and then stopped using it because it kept overheating. But it was one of the newer Sony ones.
Yeah.
But I spoke with another comedian, and he kind of told me like what works for him when it overheats. So I tried it out this past weekend. And I noticed that it did help. So I'm like, okay, maybe I had to mess with the settings and change the screen. You can have to open it so that it doesn't overheat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. But I was thinking about returning it, so we'll see.
Yeah.
If it continues to mess up, I'm gonna return it.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of different well, if your comedy, your stand-up comedy is only 30 minutes, I think there's a lot of good options because cameras usually stop at 30 minutes. But if you go longer, there's different ways that you can adapt your cameras to like record a full hour. That's what I currently do right now. I have everything connected into have everything connected in one piece of equipment that all cameras are being recorded. and just with one button, and I can go on for hours and they won't stop, and then they won't overheat or anything like that. So if you ever need help or anything like that, trust me, I've learned a lot with content creating and stuff. So if you need anything, but for sure, I would say those clip-on mics. I need to go back to your clips. I know they sounded good because I laughed, but I need to rewatch them and analyze them in the sense from content creating now. But so far you're doing good. But if you were to start like actually taking a little bit more time into social media, man, you'll freaking skyrocket. Or even a YouTube channel. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel that I haven't used in a long time.
Oh, dude, post. Yeah, you have to. There's this Martin Avini or something like that. Have you seen him?
No.
No. Oh, I need to send you his stuff. He right now his whole spiel is he gets people onto his set and he sets them up as like dates, and then at the end, like once they find the couples, they start doing the whole beso thing.
Yeah. He performs with Alfred, right? Alfred with the Tejana.
Oh, you know what? I'm not too sure because now he's blowing up on social media on his own, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. He has like a little comb over.
Yeah. But you see, it was through YouTube that he started freaking like skyrocketing.
Blowing.
Yeah. Even if you record like those 30-minute like actual like videos, like doing an intro of where you're gonna be recording, like mimicking some of that, I think it'll do very, very good for you.
Yeah, I'll have to do more recordings. I know that's actually been my downfall. Now that we're it's one of them. Yeah, because sometimes as comics, I think like a lot of the times we get lazy, but with the recording part, because at least for me, every time I try to record, it shuts down or somehow something wasn't working. Like the lighting was off, so I'm like, man, this sucks, I guess. And then I've just had bad luck with recording, so but I'm learning more about it, so I'm gonna get back into it.
Yeah, don't let that discourage you. Just fine tune it. I think you need a little bit more time to find that out so you can get encouraged that your camera doesn't overheat now. Now you're going to be like, oh shit, like I have a working camera now. Okay, your audio's perfect. Now it's like, okay, I have everything locked down. Then, okay, I need to post my first full 30-minute set on YouTube. Then the next set. And that way you can start getting encouraged into doing that. Because you're very, very skilled and you're very knowledgeable.
Thank you. Yeah, you inspired me by saying that you used to take 3 days and now you do it within an hour. So I'm like, okay, I need to get to it.
But
mine's only a little set.
But yeah, exactly. But now you have access to me, so I'm willing to teach you everything that I learned that I can cut your time in like minutes now. Like honestly, I'm willing to help you with whatever I know. I'll help you out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. So you're welcome. You were saying you produce shows. So what about producing shows? Well, because you said it's been your highest and your lowest as well?
Yeah, it's been my highest because it's kind of like you create your own cocktail, you know? Like you create like a good mixed drink.
Yeah.
If you ever have a really good mixed drink, you're like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm all speaking about talk about being an alcoholic.
Yeah, which you didn't want to take a shot.
Yeah, only because I have work tomorrow, so I would be drinking right now.
Yeah. What time do you go to work?
8 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not too bad. But in your 30s, you know, life's different.
I'm pushing 40 close, pretty close.
40?
Yeah. I'm trying not to look 40, but
you don't. You look early 30s.
Nice. That's the reason why I got braces done, so I can look younger. So and I'm just like, that's the part that. No, I just wanted to fix my bottom teeth, but thank you. I think that's one of the things too, that if you love and enjoy life and don't forget of your inner child, I think that that's part of you staying younger, right? And being
I agree.
right.
Yeah, I agree. Because sometimes I'm like, I hate being a grouchy person. Like, just trying to have fun every moment you can.
Right.
I feel it helps you stay youthful.
I agree because life is hard, dude. Life is freaking hard. But now imagine, like you said, if you're a grouch, if you're looking at life in that perspective, right? Like how freaking annoying. But now it's just, I think it also has to do that people forgot who they were as kids and they look at life of miserable, right? Instead of like, obviously you have to work and at times you might not like what you do, but what is it that you're doing outside of work to change that for you? Right? Or when was the last time you went out for a run just to like enjoy life? And for me, to be honest, here with the podcast, it's like having these conversations. I love it because I get to have like genuine, organic conversations with people like yourself that a comedian never would have thought that I would be talking to a comedian. And now it's like you're actually almost checking off the box for me because I've always wanted to have a conversation with a comedian. So thank you for that. And the thing is that when I come into the studio, at times I'll have like figures, action figures or things like that of like The Simpsons. Why? Because it's like healing my inner child. I want to still be a child within,
Yes, I agree. And I feel like that's like being a comedian or maybe having your own podcast, like that's kind of like making your inner child happy.
Yes.
At least for me as a child, I always enjoyed making people laugh. And then in the classroom, they would move me. They're like, oh no, Jessica, you're talking too much. So now I'd be in the back with the quiet kid and now making that kid laugh. So
yeah, that's a very good point. So you used to do that as a kid and now you're continuing to still be that child from back in the days, but doing it in the real world now.
Yeah.
That's a very good comparison.
I'm getting paid for it. So that's what makes me really happy. I'm like, wow, they're paying me to be funny.
Nice.
Like, who would have ever thought, right? I used to get kicked out of the classroom for that.
Nice, man. That's so dope. Man, you freaking killed it with that line. And that's the way you're still remaining young, right? Because you still have that inner child within you. I love that.
Yeah. Yes. And actually, like my family, like my tios, my uncles, they're all really funny on my mom's side. I actually have two last names, but like in the comedy world, I go by one. And my dad gets so upset. He's like, "Why don't you use my last name?" And he's like, and I'm like, "Dad, don't take it personal. It's just like my mom's side is like what always inspired me to be funny. Like I would go to my aunt's house and they would get together. And they would be drinking coffee with the pan dulce, and they would just be cracking jokes and roasting each other. And I would just sit there. And my mom would be like, "Get out of the table. This is for adults." And I would just sit there and watch them roast each other. And just, I was studying them at the time, I guess.
Nice. And so when you produce shows, what exactly do you do? What does it entail?
So first in the beginning, I have to find a venue that will allow me to produce the show there, to have shows there. And then I have to create a flyer. Well, I have to find comics that are available for that date. And then I have to create a flyer. I have to sell tickets. And then just have the show.
Oh, shoot. So it's you setting up the whole show.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, that's dope.
Yeah. I stopped for a bit. I'm taking like a pause right now. But yeah, so I was having the shows and it was fun because I would find comedians on TikTok that I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "Hey, how much do you charge? Are you available this date?" So, if I could, not me personally, because I will sell tickets so we can all watch them as a community.
Yeah.
But some of them can be pricey. I'd be like, ooh, I hope I sell tickets, because if not, that's gonna hurt.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
And they were pretty well-known comedians that you found through TikTok, or they were just like your regular Joes that are doing like comedy here and there, or
Some through TikTok I found, and some local.
okay.
Hmm.
If you don't mind me
Yeah.
asking, what's the price of a comedian, like average? Like you can give me a scale from here to here that a comedian will charge per set.
So like a headliner can range from like 300 to 500 for 45 minutes to
Wow.
30 minutes.
Dang.
Yeah.
I need to start learning comedy. For real.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't know that in the beginning, like when I first started doing comedy, like I didn't know how much people charged and that you got paid for it. But I remember just my friends kept motivating me, like, do open mics, do open mics. So we would drive to San Luis Obispo, which is like a 35-minute drive from where I live. And I would just do my sets there. And then a producer reached out and asked me like to do my first show. And then he paid me for like 10 minutes. I was up there for like 10 minutes and he paid me. I'm like, I got paid to say jokes for 10 minutes. I'm like, that's awesome.
And how much you got paid there, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer it, but for those 10 minutes.
You don't get paid a lot when you do like
Yeah.
a 5-minute set or 10-minute set. You make like $25 to $30, which isn't a lot, but you also get exposure.
Right. And like you said, it's like for a couple minutes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I understand that those 10 minutes and all, there's a lot of back end work that
Yeah.
got you to those 10 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. But it's been fun. I really enjoyed it. And then I actually was in a comedy competition as well last year with all like the new the upcoming comics in our all the upcoming local comics, and I won the competition, so that was also like motivating because it was like a bunch of strangers. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, not only do my friends think I'm funny, these strangers do too, I guess.
Nice.
So that was fun.
Nice.
And people always joke that I'm Mexican and that's why I won, because I took my whole family there. And I'm like, no,
hilarious.
those people were not my color.
That's hilarious. Do you ever do comedy here in San Diego? Or you've done comedy in San Diego?
I haven't yet. I want to, and that's on my to-do list for this year.
Dude, if you come to the San Diego, let me know. I would love to go watch you.
For sure. Yes, I'll let you know. And yeah, my fiance has family out there. So we go from time to time throughout the year. Not often, but at least like twice a year we go to San Diego.
Nice. Or if you're not doing comedy, if you guys are in San Diego, let me know. That way we can just maybe catch a bite or something. I can take my fiance. You can take your fiance. That'll be dope.
Yeah, that would be dope. And what's funny is actually my fiance has opened up for me at comedy shows when I was producing.
What?
He's like, do you need to open up? Yeah, I got him into comedy.
No way.
Yeah.
And he would never do comedy before.
You know what's funny? He's like a very shy person. No, he's never done comedy. And I was like, I need a comedian.
What the heck?
And he was like, okay. I'm like, you could do it. I believe in you. And he went up there and he killed it. He's actually pretty funny himself too. So yeah, his jokes are more on the raunchier side.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm up there and I get embarrassed. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like you can teach comedy, or do you have to be born with it?
I feel like both. I feel like you can be born with it and you can teach it. Because I've seen some comedians that I'm like, wow, they're still showing up. You know, they really want this. Like, not to be rude, but I'm like, damn, these jokes are hurting me when they're saying them. But they show up for themselves every day, and I respect that, and I've seen the growth in them. So, And I'm like, okay, like, and when I see them doing great, killing it, I'm like, hell yeah, you're freaking killing it. So I think it can be taught. Yeah.
So now talk to me. Have you ever bombed a show that nobody laughed? Or yeah,
Yeah, I have.
how's
Yeah,
that
and
experience?
it's a shitty feeling.
I think that's the
I'm just
worst
like,
feeling
man,
ever, right?
yeah, yes. You just start overthinking, like, what joke could I have said? Did I not deliver? Like how I usually do. That joke usually kills everywhere else,
No
or what
way.
could I have said differently? Like you just start overthinking like everything you said. And I know that in the past I've like when I say a joke and it doesn't deliver the way I thought it would, I start kind of like panicking. So I like try to deliver another joke and I'm like, like, but I've, I feel like every comedian has bombed at least once or twice.
And
But it's a learning experience.
or and
So
how does that work? That everybody just staring at you and they're just like maybe a few chuckles, like, huh? Or dude, like that would be nerve wracking. Like I would want to get off stage running.
I mean, you feel it for sure. You feel it. I know when I was bombing up there, I said like a couple more jokes, and then there was a point where I had to save myself. Like I was drowning. I was
Yeah,
drowning.
yeah. I had to save myself. So what you do to save yourself?
I floated away. I was like, my time is up. I gotta go.
Oh, really? You just like said, okay, that's it. Have a good night.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
My set wasn't that long, so thank God I only had like I think I had like 5 minutes that night, and it was in the beginning. So
yeah.
yeah, I pulled out my floaties and I was like, I gotta go.
Man, you know what? That takes freaking guts. I feel like one thing is doing public speaking, but you standing up and trying to be funny in a group of people and not delivering or bombing, that must be nerve wracking.
Yeah, it was. I still remember. And I haven't gone back to that town. I would like to go back. They don't have shows there anymore. Maybe it was the people.
After you, they're like, yeah, we have to stop this.
They're like, no, never again.
Yeah.
And never happened.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else that you would want to mention? We're pretty much at the hour mark. Anything else you would want to mention? Any questions? Any final words?
I just wanted to ask you how has it been for you, like having your podcast with your fiance and your family? Has it affected you?
Yeah, I think where it affected me the most was recently that we have now a 6 month old baby or young baby that when she was born, my whole thing, me coming after work, my whole thing is like, okay, I'm gonna work. I'm a man. I'm supposed to be like directing the ship, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I would come, say hi to my fiance, carry the baby for a couple of minutes, maybe an hour, and like, okay, I gotta go do my thing, right? Like edit and continue like fighting and pushing towards the goal and dream, but not me
Mm-hmm.
realizing that my fiance was with the baby the whole day and
Yeah.
not knowing that she needs a break from the baby. And I started noticing
Mm-hmm.
that at times she was in not the greatest mood because it's hard having a newborn baby, being a first time mom or first time parent. There's a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of like things going in your head because you're just focused on the baby, nurturing for the baby. And that's when I realized, I didn't realize this until my fiance got sick, that she was in the hospital. So now it was me taking care of the baby full time, like the whole day
Mm-hmm.
for multiple days. This was for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I realized that like now I understand her. Like now I understand that she needed
Mm-hmm.
that break. So it was hard in that sense. I think that was probably the hardest thing because before when we were just me and her, hey, I'm going to be doing the whole podcasting and editing and learning all the different things that I learned. And she was fine because she was doing her thing. But now that we have a baby, that's what pushed me to get another person into my team to take over of everything else that I was doing, creating thumbnails, doing trailers. Now I have both of my guys uploading to YouTube, which before I would have to like export the content and I would upload it now. And this just happened recently. This was like 2 weeks ago that I had to find out how I could give them access on YouTube for them to be able to upload the footage. So now that's saving me even extra more time. Hey guys, like upload it, let me know when it's up, and then I'll take care of publishing it. And you guys just take care of just making sure it's on YouTube. So even till this day, I'm still learning. But that was one of the hardest parts, aside from obviously editing 3 days, having my computer running overnight just to make sure that it was uploaded the next morning because I didn't have the best equipment. But I think the hardest one was realizing that my fiance needed a break from the baby. But now that I have my team, which is costing me and I'm not gaining anything. Like I said, it took me 2 years to make my first $100 through YouTube. So that's the hardest I've ever worked for just $100. So when you say, I know at times it can be embarrassing or you feel a little bit like iffy whether if you want to share about getting $25 for a 10-minute set because you're like, man, I'm not where I want to be. But you should be prideful of that, right? Because it took me 2 years to get $100. It took you 10 minutes to get $25. So say it proudly, right? For me, it took me that long, but I truly believe in what I'm doing, and knowing that my fiance believes in me and I have my inner circle, which is very, very few people that truly believe in me, keeps me going. But knowing that and understanding that experience that my fiance needed that break encouraged me to build my team even bigger so I can have more time with my family.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah. I feel like our dreams are important, but so is like our family. Sometimes I think our dreams can affect our family, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm trying to eliminate that as much as possible. That way I can enjoy life and still be producing and fighting and pushing towards those goals and dreams to become a reality.
Yeah. I think that's one of my fears as well. Like if I do make it big and I have to travel, just not being here like with my family. Like it's a thought that I always have like in my head, like, will I miss out on people's lives for how long? Like, you know, I guess that's another piece.
Now, from what I've seen through big comedians, I would even tell you to start your own podcast.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. That's why I had a few questions for you.
Hey, we can talk offline. Any question you have, I'm here to answer. I'm an open book.
Thank you.
So
thank you
because you want to be owning your own platform and not having to like travel. Like, look, a perfect example is Bobby Lee. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bobby Lee, but dude, he I feel like for me, he blew up because of his podcast. I haven't really even watched many of his comedy sets, but because of his comedy through the podcast, man, I watch him like every freaking week.
Yeah. I'm going to start watching Bobby Lee, but I've seen some of his podcasts, but I never actually seen his stand-up either.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
So yeah, you need to start thinking of other avenues that you can expand your career outside of having to travel, and you can decide whether if you want to travel or not. But yeah, just do what I'm doing right now. Start your own podcast, because within that podcast, the comedy that you have, maybe you and your fiance or your friends or even your family members. You said your family members are funny. If you have them over, you guys can freaking shoot the shit, talk, have fun, be funny. Now you guys can get to share it with everyone else, and without you having to travel.
That's true. I like the way you think.
Cool. Any final words?
That's it. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Cool. And I look forward to hopefully in the future maybe meeting you in person.
Yeah. Likewise. It'll be an honor. And if you guys are in San Diego, let me know. Like, we'll set something up so we can, all four of us can meet and have a good time.
All right. Well,
Cool.
Thank you.
Perfect. Like I always like to say, it's a greater risk not taking a risk. My name is Angel Houseman, and we have Jessica. Thank you once again.
Hoy